As individuals, we know about the small actions we can take to help reduce emissions that cause climate change. But what can and should our governments do? Seeing as their large-scale actions are fundamental to welfare of their people. Earth, we have a problem. We're essentially melting. High rates of greenhouse gas emissions paired with environmental degradation and the overexplosion of natural resources have us in a race against time. 97% of scientists agree that climate change is a result of human activities. And if we fail to stop global warming soon, the, the change will be catastrophic. Here are the 5 ways our can confront climate change. First, protect and restore key ecosystem. The second, support small agriculture procedures. Third, promote green energy. Fourth, combat short-lived climate pollution. Fifth, bat on adaptation, not just mitigation. Protect and restore key ecosystem. Respect for nature is fundamental. Government must protect ecosystem case to fight against climate change. Rivers, wetlands, oceans, forests, and mangroves absorb large quantities of carbon, slowing warming. Mangroves also serve as a barrier against tropical storms, and wetlands absorb excess water from floods. Both extreme weather events exacerbated by climate change. Second is support small agricultural procedures. According to the FAO, the meat industry is responsible for 15 to 18% of all greenhouse gas emissions, exceeding even those of the transportation sector. In addition, it is the most significant source of water use and contamination in the world. Today, 80% of all agricultural production goes toward feeding animals, not people. The expansion of land for livestock and crops to feed them is the most significant cause of deforestation in the Amazon. Government can make difference by supporting small local procedures who, unlike large factory farms, employ sustainable practices, care about land restoration, benefit nearby communities, and make animals and crops more resilient to climate change. It's less about everybody becoming vegetarians, but more about supporting those who produce our food with respect for nature. Third is promote green energy. 35% of all global emissions come from energy production, but as countries bet on more development, they're also betting on more energy production. But as countries bet on more development, they are also betting on more energy. While thermoelectric and hydroelectric energies were long considered the cheapest option, technological developments have allowed us to find better, cheaper, more efficient alternatives with proper long-term planning. Uh, Nation can avoid old climate aggravating energy sources. Hydropower is not green, and for small wind, solar, geothermal, oceanic, and other projects that adapt to a place's unique characteristic. When thinking about energy, it's bit on diversified metrics, prioritizing projects that are close to place where people need energy, saving on losses and infrastructure, or to start or explain. We must give absolute priority to the protection of nature. Every action, public policy, or strategy should be analyzed with nature in mind, and the production of energy is a good starting point. Fourth is combat short-lived climate pollutants. Carbon dioxide is the most infamous greenhouse gas since it remains in the atmosphere for centuries. Even if we stop all its emissions source today, the effect of climate change would continue. The good news is that other contaminants exist that contribute to climate change and only last a few days or years in the atmosphere. They're known as short-lived climate pollutants, and they're responsible for 30 to 45% of the emission that cause global warming. These pollutants include black carbon, methane, ozone, and the hydrofluorocarbons found in refrigerants. Their effective control through national policies and regulations called accelerate the fight against climate change in the short term. Um, in addition, because they cause serious air pollution, measure to mitigate them will directly benefit human health. And the last is based on adaptation, not just mitigation. In the fight against climate change, work aim at reducing emissions, stopping their effect, and diminishing future consequences is known as mitigation. It is important, however, some communities are already experiencing tragic consequences due to changes in climate over a short period of time, so we also must act to prevent catastrophes, increase resilience, and reduce vulnerability, which is known as adaptation. Projects to mitigate emission are more attractive financially than those designed for adoption, which are generally focused on the most vulnerable communities. But it is important to give adoption the significance it deserves and recognition of the fact that the impacts of climate change are already grave reality for many. At this year's COP, representative are discussing loss and damage mechanism referring to the compassion nations that develop countries. The main causes our climate change must make to developing countries, which suffer significant losses due to adverse climate effects. Aruzar explained. Uh, our governments uh, must support this discussion and commit to the effective use of resources, so all the world people can better prepare for and help to prevent greater changes to our climate. That's all. Thank you.